Alright guys, today we're going to take a crack at this. I'm going to use some new weapons. This is from White's Mobile Locksmithing. It's a second challenge lock. He calls this one the Sleeper. And I got to say, I've noticed lately, let's say the last few months, that more and more of you are sending your challenge locks based on the Schlage keyway. Probably because I let it be known I didn't like the Schlage keyway. I found it difficult to access. So from a picker's perspective, I don't like it. But from a security perspective, I really do. And here's why. If you take a look closely at this, it's mostly an open keyway except for that nasty, cursed piece of warding that kind of juts right out in the middle of things right there. So if you're trying to pick this guy from the bottom, and I'm going to turn it sideways, and this is a 23 thousandths pick, so I slide him in there. You notice what happens is that piece of warding shoves that pick up against the wall over there. Some of them you can't even get a 23 or 25 thousandths in there. This one you can, but it's wedged up in there, so it's dampening a lot of the feedback or even deadening it. And the further you go back into the lock, the more that binds that pick up. So one of the ways, you might say, well, I'll pick from the side, but 25 thousandths, it doesn't flex very much, and the more upward pressure you put, the more your pick is going to be shoved down into the gutter. One of the ways I've been getting around it is with this guy. This is a 15 thousandth. It's the same pick, 15 thousandth though. And if you take a 15 thousandth pick and you slide him from the bottom, you can get him up there. Now notice it pinches him just barely, just a little bit, and it gets a little worse as you go back into the depths of the lock. And you can feel it dragging along that piece of warding right there, and as he gets shoved up. But you can still do it with a 15 thousandth. If it's a challenge lock, it requires a lot of touch and feel. It's a little hard sometimes, but it's still possible. Unless somebody puts a very high cut pin way in the back. And that's what happened to me recently. So I'm not a pick maker, but here's the pick that I ground out. It's not pretty, but it was functional. I made this out of 13 thousandth, and I designed it just to defeat that one lock. So I was able to get in there, and 13 thousandth, by the way, it slides in there without any kind of grabbing. You can even move it around a little bit to change your angle all the way to the back. It just doesn't grab up. So I found 13 thousandth to be ideal. I was happy with this and set it aside. Forgot all about the experiment until recently. I had someone point me towards a lock pick maker, custom pick maker. The name of the company is Rare Element Lock Picks. And I called up, talked to a guy named Scott, and told him that I was interested in having some picks made in 13 thousandth. He thought about it for a while and said, okay, I'll give it a try. And this is what I ended up with. Let's go over these one by one. These are all made with 13 thousandth, so it's really flexy. The downside of 13 thousandth, of course, is that it's very delicate. You really can't put a lot of pressure on it. You're going to be bending it pretty easily. But I've been using these for about a week and a half, and I got to tell you, I am really impressed. I'm able to access all of these Schlage keyways. And I scuffed these up a little bit, but it just gives me total access to the whole lock. He calls this one the Cadabra. It looks like a Bogota. Not quite, but very, very close. And 13 thousandth, I'm able to get all the way to the back. No dragging on that warding whatsoever. A couple of the other ones that I got, let's see if I can remember these. I'm doing this from memory. I apologize. This one, I believe, is called the Breach. Oops, sorry. The Breach, it's just... I'm going to hold a short hook up here just so you can compare it. It obviously has a lot more reach than a short hook, but this ought to give you an idea of what the dimension looked like. Very nice. I'm impressed with the finish as well as the performance. This next one, again, I picked this from the website. This is called the Offset Hybrid. Now, it's a copy of a pick that I've used. Let me grab it here. Many, many times. This is the Sparrows, if I get the camera to focus. This is the Sparrows Offset Hybrid, and you guys see me using this. It's almost the first pick I grab, but I always wished it had a little bit more rise. And now, put them up there, we do. It's exactly the same pick, except we got a little more rise. And then the last one is, you guys might kind of recognize this. This is called the Extendo Reach. And again, let me grab one. This is a Reach clone. It's a medium hook, but look how much extra we get on there. This is This is going to allow you to work from the bottom of the keyway, and you don't have to use any weird angles to get those high pins. Anyway, these I've been, like I said, I've been using these for about a week and a half or 2 weeks. I'm very, very happy with their performance, and I'm hoping that on White's Mobile Locksmithing Sleeper Lock, they're going to come in especially handy. So let's clamp this up and see if we can get it picked. All right, I've got that sandwiched in a piece of leather. I want to make sure I am not pinching that tail piece in the core. It flops back and forth. It tells me that White's has some goodness in there for us. All right, I'm going to try. By the way, I do have the key right there. We're going to hopefully not need that. I'm going to take the Cadabra, since it moves in there so freely. And the nice thing about these, I got to tell you, I'm excited about this. 13 thousandths is definitely the way to go with Schlage. All right, what I'm going to do, I can feel every pin. I feel no dragging at all. Let me zoom in a little bit, and hopefully you'll be able to see if we get some feedback. That ought to be good. All right, I'm just going to see if I can rake up a fault set. And if not, we'll grab one of the other guys and just bounce up and down, see if we can make something happen. And I'm not really feeling anything here. I can feel the pins, but I don't feel... I got a very slight turn on the core there. Very slight, but I will take it. Come on now. There we go. All right, I'm going to grab one of these other guys. Let's try this one. This is the offset hybrid in 13,000. Again, I'm feeling every pin. There's no dragging whatsoever. The bad thing I have noticed about 13,000, very delicate. I have actually bent a pick. I got a little over enthusiastic, trying to force a pin like that to give me some feedback. And I gave him a very slight bend. I had to back off and get a pair of pliers and straighten him out. I'm not getting any feedback here. I'm going to put a little more pressure on it. And then we're going to have to switch to a thicker pick, I think. Make sure I'm getting pin 1. The downside is there we go, I got the slightest amount of feedback right there. So that's pin 5. Come on. Wow, now we got a really deep fault set, and that's a good thing. And there we go, pin 3. I didn't expect it to go that easily, but I tell you what, 13,000 is the secret weapon for Schlages. I'm definitely going to order some more of these, probably before I post this video. All right, let me back this out. Let's gut this thing, see what White's put in here. I do have the key. I'm going to go ahead and lock it up, and we're going to cut this open. This is some of you guys' favorite part. I'm either in trouble for recklessly endangering one of my fingers or for putting a gouge in the key. So no matter which way I go, I'll be in trouble. All right, not bad. It looks like that one, however, is way beyond the mat. That's way below the normal cut. But I was able to get around all these low cut ones. Let me grab that hybrid and see what we're talking about. I was picking from the bottom of the keyway and was able to get all of them with this hybrid, because if it hadn't worked, I could have gone for the extendo reach, and that for sure would have been able to get it. So this is clearly the weapon of choice. All right, make sure this thing works, and of course it does. I don't know what that hole is though. No clue. Well, do what we got to do. Let's take them apart. All right, I got the tool. I always guess wrong on the end, and that's the one. All right. All right, take that. We're going to rotate it 90. Get the follower, which I had here, and make sure this is what we want to do. And it is. All right. All right, we do have some weirdness right around pin number 3 there. And that's all I see right off the bat. All right, serrated key pin. Serrated, but with a very deep cut. We'll look closely at those in a few minutes. Whoa, we have a multi-part pin. Great. Pin 3. That's the last one that I got. Pin 4 is a rough-looking spool. Pin 5, standard. And I wouldn't have expected to find a standard because of the way that core was flopping around. I think I see now why it happened. And then we have a very deep cut spool. I think the reason it was flopping around, if I get it to focus, is because every single one of these is threaded, and I think there's even some further enhancement on a couple of these. Like number 2 here, not only is it threaded, but we have undercutting, and the same on 2 and 3. Both of those have undercutting on both sides. So undercutting and threading, a little combination of wonderfulness. Let's see what else we got here. Let me grab these. All right, very nice serrated, handmade, and the spring. Another very nice serrated, and a tiny little spring, different than the first one. Number 3 is a commercial spool, and no spring. There he is, little tiny guy. He's bent. He was wedged up inside of there. Number 4 is a T-pin with serrations on it. Wonderful. Same type of spring. I'm going to go from the other side so we can see them as they pop out. Okay, I'm on number 6. And he's just barely popping up there. A standard, it is a key pin, but he was an upside down. So, turn him right there. Get in there. And the spring, if you can call it a spring, it's like 2 or 3 coils cut off of a spring. I would not have expected him to stick up with such a small spring. There must be something else inside of that. I can't see anything though. All right, number 5. Popped up pretty good. Looks like a homemade pin, and it is homemade serrations. Oops, sorry about that. So this guy goes here, and the spring is another one of these little brass guys. A little different. That one's centered. A couple of these other, that's a centered one, and then we have 2 that are not. Looking in here, again, I would not have expected to get such good luck with raking on this. I don't know if you can see that, but the first 5 are all threaded. Very nice, very sharp threads. The only one that is not is number 6. I do see something inside of there. There's something in the bottom of that. I mean, it wouldn't have, let me move that other camera. It wouldn't have come into play. Okay, I had another little spring pop out, little piece of a spring. But number 6 pin is still there. It may just be something taking up space down there. I really can't tell. I don't want to rip the lid off this thing. Let me see if I can very quickly just slide it. I don't want to destroy the lock. I want to repin it and send it out to somebody. But there we go. I don't know what that is. That's definitely not moving around. It's probably just a spacer, which allowed him to use little tiny pieces of spring. This one came out of 6. I don't know which one that popped out of. I have no clue. I thought I had springs out of all of them. So this little partial spring was doubled up with one of these guys. Anyway, let me give you a close look and show you what we're looking at. All right, on the bottom, key pins, all handmade. Serrated. We had a 2-piece pin here. And he was, let me get that tweezers. What did I do with those guys? He was like that. And he'll fit down on the top of there. Like a little tack. There we go. Another little spool, standard, and then a very sharp spool. On the top, serrated, It's very nice serrated, a commercial spool, serrated with a T-pin. He was around like that, serrated, and then an upside down key pin. Anyway, white. I would not have expected to get in this quite as easily as I did. I think the tools truly did, in this case, make the difference. So when I combine my luck with the new magic from Rare Earth Lockpicks, I think that really made the difference and sped things up. Anyway, fellas, thanks for your patience. Stay safe. Stay legal.